Today I'm going to tell you an ancient story. It's based on the myth of Cupid and Psyche. It's based on the story of Beauty and the Beast. It's an old story, but the version I choose to tell you is called East of the Sun, West of the Moon. It was hard times, and people were starving, and their children were starving. And in the mountains, times were particularly hard because it had been a long winter and the crops hadn't been planted. When a knock came at the cabin door of a particularly large family with particularly beautiful children, the most beautiful of all was the youngest daughter. There stood a bear, a big black bear on two legs, and he said to the father, "I can change your life today, sir. If you will give me your daughter's hand in marriage, I can make your life better. I will give you a large house with all your needs met, and your children's needs met, and their children's needs met. All that I require is your daughter's hand in marriage." The father said, "Let me talk it over with my wife." And they talked it over with the daughter and decided that it would be a good thing. So the daughter grabbed up her bag of rags that were clothes, and she went with the bear. Excuse me. She climbed on his back, and they traveled for many miles to his big cabin, way in the mountains. And there was anything she needed. And he said that he would be back in the morning. And she thought, "I'm hungry." And there was a bowl of stew with a big piece of bread by it, appearing on the table beside a roaring fire. And she ate, and she was sleepy, and she looked, and there was a feather bed, and she crawled into bed, and the lights went out, and beside her in the bed was a man. She couldn't see the man, but he said, "I am your true love, and I fell in love with you when I first saw you. But my evil stepmother has put a spell on me, and by day I must wear the form of a bear, but by night I can be your true love." And his words surprised her and stunned her, and she too fell in love. Their days passed amazingly, but every morning when he disappeared, she was so lonely. But the nights were filled with passion and love. One day, when he came home, he found her crying, and he said, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" And she said, "I miss my family." And he said, "I can take you to your family, but you have to agree never to tell your mother what her life really is like." And she agreed. The next day, he takes her on his back to her family. And her mother, as mothers would do, took her aside and wheedled and begged and cried and said, "You have to tell me, because I worry at night, no matter how good our life is, what it's like for you." So she tells her that what this is like. Well, after they have eaten dinner, the bear shows up, and he knows as soon as she climbs on his back what has happened. And he said, "This is so sad, my darling, because it all ends here. I have to go back where I came from." I live far, far away, east of the sun, west of the moon. And she breaks into sobs, and he said, I must marry a troll woman with a nose as long as this. And she sobs more. They spend their last night in each other's arms, and at daybreak, the cabin's gone, and she's left with her rags and nothing more. The southern breeze, sees her crying and asks, where is your handsome man? Where has he gone? And she said, east of the sun, west of the moon, and that is where I must be going. And he said, come, I'll take you to my brother the east wind, and let's see if he can help you. But maybe this golden apple will help you as well. So she climbs on the southern wind's back, and off they go to the east wind. And when they get to the east wind says, well, you know, I've heard of a place that's east of the sun, west of the moon, where a handsome man lives. So climb on my back. But first, let me give you this fan. Perhaps it'll help you on your journey. So she climbs on his back, and they fly fast, fast, fast. And he says, I'm taking you to my brother, the west wind, for surely he's been places I haven't been. So they get to the west wind, and he says, how can I help you, my dear? And she says, I need to go east of the sun, west of the moon. And the west wind says, the only one of us that can help you now is the north wind. What you need is my comb. So he hands her a golden comb. And when they get to the north wind's reign, he says, I can take you there, but we must start out early in the morning. So early the next morning, they fly all day long, east of the sun and west of the moon. And they get to a fine palace, and indeed, there's her handsome man. And for the first time, she sees he's not a troll, as her mother said. He truly was a handsome man. And there is the ugly stepmother, who is a troll. And there is a wedding about to take place. So, the north wind deposits her on top of the window where the bride troll is. And she says to the bride troll, look what I have here. Look what I have here. I have this golden apple. Do you love him as much as this golden apple? And the bride troll said, as all trolls love bright, shiny things, I don't know. I don't know. What else do you have? And the woman says, I have this wonderful fan here. Perhaps you would like it. And the bride troll said, I don't know. I don't know. And then she pulls out the comb. And it was a magic comb. And as soon as that bride troll started combing her hair, she started screaming because it was a blessed comb. And all the trolls in that beautiful house, east of the sun, west of the moon, began to scream in agony because that comb had been blessed. And they began to pop like bubbles until the only two people left in that beautiful, beautiful house were the handsome man and the woman. That's the story. Face to the sun.